What's good, y'all, man? I'm gonna be real. This was an instant classic, man. You talk about a phenomenal matchup between two elite opponents. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, Alabama dominated. They did the first half. I'm not gonna lie to you. They were up 20-0. They nearly blew it, which we're gonna get into here in a second. But an absolutely thrilling contest. This gave us cinema, especially in the fourth quarter, man. Shout out to Georgia for coming back, making this a game. And I think it was a thriller, man. One of the best games, second half wise, that you could probably see. Near meltdown for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But they do keep me correct. They did live up to my pick of having to win this game. So shout out to Alabama and the Crimson Tide. All right, man. So let's break down the stats real quick before we get into the nitty-gritty of the game. So third down efficiency, both teams struggled. But it was, surprising in this game was this right here, total yards, right? Over 1,000 yards of total offense in this game. Both teams have incredible defenses. Likely going to take a little bit of a notch down in defense as far as the FBS ranks. 500 yards for both teams. That is insane. And like I said, Georgia had a great second half, man. But only 80 yards rushing. I'm gonna break that down a little bit more. But that was the keynote for me. More balance, obviously, with Alabama, 173 yards rushing and 374 yards passing, but only 80 for Georgia. They do have to fix that, I think, and clean up a couple of things. First of all, let's talk about Carson Beck, man, who was up and down all game long. I'm gonna give him a C, nearly a C minus, and I give him a C because he battled back, right? Battled adversity, had this team humming, throwing touchdown dots to Dylan Bell, Arian Smith, man, came up big, was throwing dots later in the game, but the turnovers, man, he had 4 turnovers in this game, 3 interceptions, and he also had a fumble. You're just not going to win that way. But I credit him for them taking the lead and coming down and coming up big. Absolutely incredible by him on that standpoint. But if he plays a cleaner game, Georgia comes out on top. I think this is more of a game. But he's going to have to clean that up. And I think that's the kind of the worry. Like, a lot of people have him as a top prospect at quarterback, number 2, number 1 QB prospect. He showed flashes of that in this game. But he has to be much better if Georgia's going to have a chance to contend for a title. Now, they got the squad, they got the team, they showed that in the second half. But he's going to have to play much, much better. Too up and down, and you can't have that. Your center caller should be your best player. One of your best players, we should say. And he was not that on Saturday. But he did make some good plays, made up for it, tried his best through the game-winning interception to this guy we about to show. All right, so this guy right here, Xavier Brown, read it like a book. Had the game-winning, game-sealing interception, man. Shout out to him. Only a true freshman. Just goes to show you, man, got to be ready when your number's called. You never know. A lot of busts in the secondary, but he came up big for the Crimson Tide. I'll talk about more about them in a sec. All right, back to Georgia. What I didn't like is early in the game, they abandoned the run, right? And you did pretty good on the ground. Only 12 carries for Trevor Etienne. He had 55 yards, 4.6 yards per carry. You got the pieces to run the ball. You got Branson Robinson. You got Nate Frazier. Use your running game. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a lot to ask the Carson Beck. Throw the ball 50 times. Now, they were behind 28-0 in this game, but what Georgia got to do is they got to stop the bleeding earlier, right? This game bled so quickly. Like when it was 14-0, still keep your game plan. Put a drive together. They didn't put a legit drive together until it was like 28-0 when they had to have it to convert multiple fourth downs. They got the receiving core. I don't think that should be a question anymore. The way Arian Smith came up big, as you guys can see here in the way Dylan Bell came up big, both 100-yard receivers in this game. Dominic Lovett, too, had a big catch in the second half as well that kind of helped them get back into it as well. They got the pieces, and London Humphrey wasn't even playing in this game. So I don't think there's no questions there. You got the pieces, you got the weapons. Lawson Lucky came up big with a touchdown, 2-point conversion. They play well, but they got to get started earlier, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, man, one thing you could take away as a Georgia fan, I would feel okay because the biggest question is going to be what does the AP poll do tomorrow for Georgia? How low does it drop them after this loss? Because they battled adversity. They looked terrible in the first half, but they show their grit. They show kind of championship team and pedigree that they have and how good they could potentially be. So I'm curious to see how low do they drop after the poll comes out. Now, the only bad thing, and we're going to have to probably start saying it before I get on to Alabama, low-key, Alabama is Georgia's kryptonite. Kirby Smart is 1-6 against the Alabama program in his career. The only other win was in the national title game when they beat Bama for the first ever national championship since like the 1980s for Georgia. That is a problem. And they're going to probably see this team again at some point. Likely both teams are going to make the college football playoff. Let's be honest. He's going to have to get over that hump. Man, this kid right here, Jalen Milroe, absolutely balled. When I say it was 3 Heisman-level performances this past weekend, it was 3 of them. Friday, Cam Ward and what he did, Jalen Milroe tonight, and obviously Travis Hunter, what he did earlier in the day. Absolutely ball. My only concern was with Bama. Why did they run tempo offense when you could? Like, I felt they kept Georgia in the game. I know he wants to run up tempo. I know he likes to be in a rhythm. I know that's a part of his game. But the key is you got to be able to slow it down sometimes as well. Not necessarily be conservative. Still take your shots. But what was wrong with running the ball a little bit more, right? What was wrong with taking some time off of the clock, snapping it with less than 5 seconds on the play clock? Those are the things to me that you have to do. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like that's the reason why Georgia got back in this game. You have that big lead. All you need, like, guys, you got to think about it. Second half, you have a big lead like that. All you got to do is get probably 1 or 2 scoring drives. The game's over. You know what I'm saying? They had 3 points at one point into that play we'll talk about here later. 3 points, 98 yards in the second half up until that big play happened. That has to be better. So, yeah, man, that's kind of my humble opinion. But overall, man, I give him an A minus. Only reason I don't give him an A or A plus is because Georgia got back into this game. And I think they could have played a little bit better in the second half. That's why I give him an A minus. But overall, pretty good performance. I'll tell you what, though. This dude right here is special. I know Jeremiah Smith had 2 one-handed catches. I know he's unguardable. But Ryan Williams from Maryland, oh, my gosh, bro. I think he's the best freshman in college football right now. Like, the plays he made, 2 plays. One when he juggled the ball to himself and caught it. And then this play right here. And this play right here, bro, I mean, when you talk about they needed this play bad, like all the momentum was on Georgia's side, this play right here absolutely changed everything. And this allowed them to go up and get a 7-point lead. Absolutely incredible. And he's only 17 years old. Y'all, 17 years old. That's crazy, bro. You're not supposed to be doing this. And he's low-key. If he continues with the trajectory that he is on, and they're calling him like, the next kind of like Devontae Smith, yo, he might be the best Alabama receiver in their program history. I know they got Julio Jones, Jalen Waddle, right? Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy. You know what I'm saying? I know. But this dude is special. 6 catches, 177 yards, and a touchdown. And they made the massive play in the biggest spot when you needed it the most. Yo, absolute stud. I mean, you can't be more impressed, bro. And he's going to mess around. He's going to be a freshman All-American. I'm going to say it right here. A freshman All-American. Absolutely superb, bro. I was so impressed with him. I've seen like different clippings. I haven't been able to watch a full Alabama game all year. This is my first full-time Alabama game. And boy, was I impressed. They got something special in their hands with this dude. So, yeah, man. Xavier Brown, shout out, obviously, to Ryan Williams, Jalen Milroe. Didn't run the ball a lot. Really, it was Jalen Milroe's show. And they didn't have any answers for them in the second half. But credit to Georgia for their second half performance. Kirby Smart and them adjusted majorly. And they showed their championship pedigree. So that's my biggest takeaway. This game was an absolute thriller. Fourth quarter. I wish we could have got this earlier in the game. I mean, straight out, it was just domination by Bama, as you can see here. But that push by the Georgia in the second half. I mean, two I think, national title contenders. Without a doubt, 2 national title contenders. Doesn't get easy for Georgia. They still got to play Texas and go to Austin this year, which should be interesting. Arch Manning lit it up again this past weekend against Mississippi State. We'll see when Quinn Ewers comes back. But 2 national contenders. So, man, I'm absolutely excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. And I'm going to tell y'all, man, like, I love college basketball. I love hoops. I feel like football is always going to be my first love, bro. It's just so hard to replicate that atmosphere, that environment. Like, NFL is great. I love my Bengals and my all-time favorite team. But, bro, just watching that, I can imagine what that was like live. You know what I'm saying? Watching that game. But it's so hard to replicate such a superb game like that. I think, second half wise, like just the back and forths, the ups and downs, the momentum swings, the great play by the quarterback, battling through adversity, big plays by Xavier Brown and obviously Ryan Williams, right? Great plays by Dylan Bell and obviously Arian Smith, right? Carson Beck delivering dimes. You just can't replicate it, man. College football is so awesome. I'm so glad I'm covering the sport. Obviously, I do it for Georgia Tech on SI. But, man, I love doing this, man. Recapping this incredible game. Shout out to Bama and Georgia. I'm sure they will see each other again, and we'll be able to talk about it then, man. Got to clean up some stuff on the Georgia side, but you have to feel good that you battled all the way to the end, man. So, incredible game. That's my thoughts. What's your thoughts on Alabama and Georgia? Did it live up to the hype? Tell me down below in the comments.